everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin, and for today's podcast episode, since I'm still kind of working primarily just on a single project, I figured I would go through my unfinished objects stash. I didn't look at these ahead of time to remember what I have. I just pulled out all of the containers that I know have unfinished objects in them, and we're just going to go through them together today because I am still plugging along on that shawl that I'm working on for a family friend. So I figured this was a good way to still show you some stuff that maybe hasn't made an appearance in a while, and also just for me to kind of go through what I've got and see how bad it really is in the unfinished objects department. If you are new to the knitting, crochet, craft project world, unfinished objects are typically abbreviated as UFOs, kind of as a joke because sometimes you pull out a project bag and you can't even tell what it is. It's been so long since you worked on it. So I'm hoping we don't have any of those today. But again, I didn't check before I pulled out all of my containers, so we're just going to have to see what's going on. I'm going to try to do this in order of the things I have worked on the most recently to the things that I haven't worked on as recently, if that makes sense. So we're going to start with the infamous navy blue shawl that I have been working on for a while now. The crochet hook fell down inside the bag. I have more info on this in previous podcast episodes, so if you're really, really curious, you can check it out there. I also will have a Quiet Craft with Me going up this week about this project. But basically, my friend is getting married, and she's a friend where we are actually friends because our moms were grade school friends. So I already made a shawl for my friend for her wedding. It's ivory and silver. This is the kind of coordinating shawl that I'm making for her mom, which is why it's navy and gold. And this is the project that I'm working on the most, or the goal is to work on it the most, because I need to have it finished before the wedding. The wedding's in June, so I've got a solid month left to finish that. It's also going to be the project that travels back and forth with me to school from now on, just so that I can really put in the hours to finish it. I do have a lot of sub days in May, so I probably will get a good amount of time to work on it while at school, but if not, I'll supplement that with while I'm at home as well. So that is being kept in one of my Vera Bradley ditty bags. I really like these in general as project bags, although they are kind of expensive. I don't even know if they still make them. I haven't looked in a while. But I like them because the inside is water resistant. That's why it makes the crinkle sound. But that also means that if you roll up the top, it turns into a nice basket instead of just a bag. So those are really convenient for working on projects that you're going to have to take back and forth because it closes up as a bag, but you can also roll it down to create a basket. I'm sure that there are other brands that make similar ones. I believe the Vera Bradley, I know it's called a ditty bag with Vera Bradley, but I believe the purpose of it is to store shoes while traveling so that if you have dirt or something on your shoes, it won't get all over the rest of the stuff in your suitcase. So if you look for drawstring shoe bags or drawstring laundry bags for travel, you'll probably be able to find something that has a similar functionality to it, just as a suggestion. My other Vera Bradley ditty bag is currently housing my travel project, which is still my birthday scarf. So I did a dedicated video to this project when I started it on my channel, but this is with yarn that I purchased from a local yarn store in St. Louis, and I like doing projects that remind me of my birthday, but this was the first year that I decided to do a birthday cast on. I also very much associate the colors lime green and purple with my birthday, so I made sure to find a yarn that included both of those colors. But this is a self-striping yarn by Earth Yarns. Again, I'm storing it in my other Vera Bradley Ditty bag. And I've got about a half a skein left on this. So this will probably travel with me. I have my friend's bachelorette party weekend coming up. So it'll probably go with me for that. And that's a pretty long drive, so I anticipate being done with it sometime on that trip. So because this is my travel project bag, I'll probably stick a second project or just some extra yarn in there and start a similar scarf. I really like knitting those tube shaped scarves because it's all knit stitch because it's worked in the round, and it just is a really easy car project, very transportable. You don't have to keep track of rows or anything like that. I also can do stockinette stitch mostly without looking at it, which means that it's a great car project because I won't get nauseous from staring at what I'm working on. In recent years, for some reason, I've become a lot more sensitive to motion during car trips. It used to not bother me at all. I used to read in the car, although I could only read on a screen. Reading from a book didn't work for whatever reason. A screen was always better, maybe because I could make the text size bigger. I don't really know. But I used to it used to not bother me at all to work on stuff in the car. So I don't know why that has been a change as I've gotten older. You'll have to let me know if you've had similar experience, because I thought that was pretty weird, especially because I noticed the transition in driving back and forth to my husband's family, which is about a 6-hour drive for us. That at the beginning of our relationship I was totally fine in the car for 6 hours, and then now I have to make sure that my project is one that I don't have to look at. I now bring peppermint or ginger tea with me to help combat some of the motion sickness. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's why I always have a travel project that is pretty much just stockinette stitch. I can't really crochet in the car because I always have to look at crochet. I definitely can't do crochet if it's with a really, really thin yarn. I think I could manage doing granny stitch in the car, as long as it was fairly big, because granny stitch is one where I don't really have to look at it because you can feel for the hole instead of trying to work into a new stitch. But anyway, that's why I now just kind of keep a running stockinette stitch scarf, because it's something that I can do in the car fairly easily. So that project will be traveling with me. It's not this coming weekend, but next weekend. So maybe in 2 weeks that project will actually be done, because I think it's gonna be a 6-hour drive. Maybe? I don't remember. I'm also I'm doing car math because I think to where we're going from me it would be 8 hours, but it's because there's bodies of water in the way. So I think it's actually shorter from where we're leaving from, but I don't know for sure. So I think it's a 6-hour car trip. Yeah, unclear. I'll have to give you an update later on about how much knitting time I got in the car. So those are my two probably most active projects right now. I do have a couple more that have been backup travel projects and also couch projects. So I'll move into those next. So the next one, I believe I actually showed part of it in last week's podcast, but I am working on a short-sleeved hexagon cardigan. And I am now almost done with the second half. I just have a couple of rows left. That's actually what I was working on before I started filming, just because I want this project to be done and out of the way. This is the second panel as of right now. So I'm now at the point where I'm only working the front opening, the bottom, and the back of the hexagon. So I'm only working on 3 sides. I think I've only got about 4 rows left to like finish making it to match the back panel. So then I'll seam it up, and then I think I'm going to use all remaining yarn to just make it longer, which I believe means that this will end up being a very long cardigan, because I had 4 skeins of the Lion Brand Mandala in Groot to work on that project. Groot is the color. I realize that might not be clear. And this is how much I had left over after I finished the first panel. This is how much I currently have left for the second panel that I'm working on. So I think with the first one I had like 3 color stripes left. So I should have 3 and 3, which is almost like a full skein to add just to the bottom. So we'll see if that makes it like ridiculously long. I might not want to use every single scrap of yarn, but we'll find out. In that basket, there were also a couple of other projects kind of buried in the bottom of this tote that I use. So we'll start on those. So this one is a sock. I think I have been working on this sock since January, and I had finally gotten to the point of where I was working the heel. Yeah, this was like a backpack project for a really long time. I don't have much else to say about this one. I need to finish this sock so that I can start the other one. But I really like how this yarn kind of spirals in the like way that it's pooling up. I'm very excited for these to be done. I think that they will be cute socks. The yarn I'm using, this is the Yarn Bee Authentic Hand Dyed in Supernova. I don't think they carry this color anymore because I got it clearanced out. And then my contrast color for the heel is Yarn Bee Color Idol in Neon Watermelon. This one I know that they don't carry anymore because the whole line of this yarn was clearanced out. I actually have more of it behind me on this shelf. It's like the light teal, the coral, and the like yellowy orange ones that are right around here. So I have those socks that who knows when I'm going to finish those. That might actually be a good warm weather project eventually, because socks are so small that they won't be like sitting on me while I'm working, but who knows. I have another stockinette stitch scarf hiding down in here. Also, my needles are all tangled up. There we go. This one I am alternating between 2 yarns every 2 rows to make the stripes. And this is another Yarn Bee hand-dyed yarn. Don't know what color this is, lost the label. And this is a hand-dyed yarn that was gifted to me by a friend. I just thought that those colors went super well together. So this might be the other project that I bring on the bachelorette trip with me, because it's also a stockinette scarf. But I'm kind of debating if I want it to be this one, because I don't know if I'm going to want to deal with the color switching in the car, especially because, like, if I'm just in the car with my husband driving, we listen to podcasts. But with this trip, I don't know if I'm going to be talking to people while we're driving or anything like that, and I want to leave space for having those conversations, getting to know people, stuff like that. So I think I will probably bring a different yarn instead, maybe one of my other Lion Brand Mandala yarns to turn into a scarf, just because color switching while listening to a podcast is fine, but color switching while talking, I feel like I'm going to accidentally have like too many or too few rows of a color. So that might not be the best project for this one, but it probably will be a ongoing travel project at some point. Not really sure why I started this one. I think I started it maybe even back in January. So I know the other one took over. That's what happened. I started this one, but then I wanted to start my birthday scarf on my birthday. So that's why the birthday scarf kind of took over that project bag. Moving on, I have a white bin down here where I actually started another hexagon cardigan. Why did I start another hexagon cardigan when I already have one in progress? I don't know. But I did really want to create a mesh hexagon cardigan since I just released the mesh hexagon cardigan tutorial video here on YouTube. So make sure to go check that out if you would like to make one of your own. But this is what the first panel looks like so far. I am making a short-sleeved cardigan. Let me fold this up so that you can actually see the shape that is starting. Gotta find the sleeve corners, match them up, and not pull the yarn out. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. So it's not as oversized as the other one that I'm working on. This one will be more of like kind of a cropped short sleeve cardigan. I made sure that the sleeve edge was just wide enough to fit around my arm, so that's going to be a little bit more fitted. And then it's probably going to end up sitting slightly cropped on me, which is fine because I'm going to wear it over dresses anyway. Actually, it's not super cropped right now. It like goes down to my hips. But I am using a yarn from Hobie to do this, and I gotta like untangle myself here. I have 4 skeins of this yarn, and it is the Hobie Rainbow Bamboo, which is 60% bamboo viscose, 40% cotton, and this is in color number 15, so it's this pretty like minty sagey green. I had 4 of these total, so I'm using 2 for the first panel and 2 for the second panel, and I've got like a third of a skein left for that first panel. So I'm excited for that project to be done because I think it'll be a nice, like very summery cardigan, possibly even like, I don't know if I do it as a like a bathing suit cover up because it is going to sit cropped. But definitely like the beachy kind of style. But I think it'll be really cute with sundresses or t-shirt dresses just to add some extra color. I've also really been liking this color lately, kind of the like sage light green. I always have liked shades of green, but in the past my absolute favorite was like a super dark emerald green. And I feel more drawn to like the olive greens and sage greens right now, which is kind of interesting. So definitely still love green, but I am kind of leaning more in this direction when I'm picking clothing, yarn colors. Even this like mandala yarn has the olive green in it instead of a deep green. So that's why I wanted to make this one. But I ordered this yarn forever ago. I think originally I wanted to make a shawl with it, but I do have quite a few shawls. And I tend to not wear shawls as often in the summer, except as like a little bit of extra warmth at formal events. Like I'm more likely to bring a shawl to go over a formal dress than like a jacket or a sweater, just because it's a little easier to hold on to or like to drape over the back of a chair at like weddings and stuff. And I know I have one wedding this summer because I've been talking about it, and I have another one in November, but I don't know if I have any other weddings this summer. Maybe it's just those 2. Wow. It's weird to like think about how like the age of all of our friends getting married is starting to like dissipate a little bit. Most of our friends who are in a serious relationship are already married or at least engaged. So I know we'll have another wedding to go to next year, but that might be it for a while. I don't know, but kind of a weird thought that like we're getting past the point of like summers are completely filled by people's weddings. It's kind of interesting, but anyway, that was quite a tangent. This mesh hexagon cardigan is another whip that I've had. That one I've been working on fairly consistently. I definitely have fallen back into the habit of like I have different projects in different spaces to work on. So I have the 2 in the ditty bags that kind of like go back and forth with me. They're all over the place. My Lion Brand Mandala hexagon cardigan has been by our TV. I've been keeping it next to the couch and working on it while watching Netflix in the evening with my husband. And then this mesh cardigan has been the one kind of by my desk when I need a simple project to work on. Because sometimes I'm watching something on my own or listening to something and want an easier project where I don't have to count. That's what this project has been. So definitely a very easy project, so you should check out the tutorial if you're interested. Alright, the thing that was in the bin underneath my mesh hexagon cardigan is actually a blanket. This one has made an appearance in one of my Quiet Craft With Me videos. This is a velvet corner-to-corner blanket that I've been working on for a while. And when I started this one, I knew it was going to be kind of a long-term project. My goal was not to finish it in any certain amount of time. It was just kind of to have something to work on. And originally, I bought this yarn when I was back in my old apartment where it had a room that was mostly like forest green and blue, so it matched that room pretty well. But I don't have that anymore. So for a while, I kind of didn't know what to do with the yarn because I thought it wasn't going to match any of the current like room color schemes that we have, because it's a very bluish green, which is not, I had more of like a true emerald green going on, which looked okay when I was pairing the emerald green with shades of like blue and teal, but that bedspread is now in the green spare bedroom that we have. And it's getting a lot more of like pops of white and like browns and beiges instead of blue. So this color like very much looks like it doesn't match up there anymore. But our living room is starting to kind of get a lot of like teal seafoam green colors in it, as well as like coral and like orangey reddish tones, just because of the art that we have hanging in there. So I think this is actually going to match our living room, which will be nice to have a fun textured throw blanket in there for when it gets cold. So this one I don't think I've touched in at least a month or two, probably since I started working on those wedding shawls. So it's probably just going to sit in that bin for a while until I'm done with some of these big deadline projects. Just to show you the yarn that's in there. This is the Bernat Baby Velvet in the color Emerald. So this I believe I got from Joann, so it's fairly easy to find, but if not, you can order it online. There's also the Retro Velvet, I believe by Premier, is another good velvet yarn option, and I think that maybe there's a couple of other yarn companies who have velvet yarn now, but I'm not sure. So that kind of ends the whips that like I remember having worked on them fairly recently. Everything else I believe I have not touched since sometime in 2022. I'm doing like a slight cleanup here so that I don't lose like all of my desk space while talking about these projects. So some of these were in bags under my desk, and some of these were on my rolling craft cart. It's the same rolling craft cart that everyone has. You can get them from Joann. You can get them from Michael's. I believe Hobby Lobby has them too, but those like metal rolling carts with all the little shelves in them. I have one of those, and the idea of that was to put projects that I was actively working on in there so I could wheel it back and forth from my desk to our like TV room on the other side of the basement. And I used it a lot rolling it back and forth in my apartment, but our apartment was all one level, so there were more places to wheel it back and forth to. So it's kind of just been stationary down here, which means that it has kind of taken on all of the projects I haven't touched in a while. So it'll be an adventure to kind of go through those. I'm going to start with the ones in the bags though. So this first one, the hook even just fell out. This was a baby blanket that I started, but I didn't like how the yarn was pooling. It's very like, stripey at the bottom and then not towards the top. So my plan was to frog it, but I'm at the point now where I don't even think I want this to be a baby blanket. I think I just want to use this yarn for stuffies or plushies for the craft fair. So I will probably just frog this whole thing and repurpose it as plushie yarn. And this is one of the Bernat. This is Bernat baby blanket, but it's the same as the Bernat blanket yarn. And this is in the color Mini Succulents. So it's like a coral, a teal, kind of a bluish purple, and like a peachy color. So very cute for a baby blanket, but I didn't like how the yarn was pooling. So that one's definitely going to be frogged. I'm even going to leave it out so that I remember to frog it. And, oh, this is a big one. The other project that was under my desk in a bag is my temperature blanket. I decided in 2021 that I was going to do a temperature blanket. Kept up with it probably through August fairly well. At most was like a month behind, and then sometime around there I stopped working on it completely. I think I had kind of a second wind in like November where I tried to catch up, but I believe, is my notebook in here? I don't know if that is. Somewhere in here is the notebook of like where I should go next. Maybe I moved it. Oh yeah, it's up there. But I'm not done. I think I only have like a month or two left on it, but it is quite large. That was probably the hook that just fell. Quite large, have a lot of yarn left, and I do want to finish it. I do like this color scheme. Again, this is from that bedroom in our old apartment that was shades of blue, green, and teal. And we don't have that room anymore, but I want it to go over the back of the couch here in the basement because I think we're going to have a lot of these kind of bright, like jewel tone kind of retro colors down here. So I want to finish it so that it can go over the back of the couch down here, just kind of as a fun pop of color. But that is why I have not done another temperature project since 2021, because clearly I didn't finish the one that I do have. So I need to finish that sooner rather than later, in order for it to be usable soon. So that'll be I don't even want to say an over the summer project, because I know working with that on my lap is going to be miserable while it's hot out. So I don't know when I'll finish that. I do still have my notes page in an old bullet journal of like what colors I need to finish and everything. So I'll get to it when I get to it. There's no rush at this point. It's well past the time I was supposed to finish it. And the only one who cared about the deadline was me. So it doesn't really matter. But that one has been living under my desk for quite a while. It went to my parents' house while we were living there. Didn't work on it while we were living there at all, but that was partially because it was such a huge project that required a table in front of me where I could like mark off each row as I completed it. So yeah, that one will probably go back under my desk for the time being until I actually have time to work on it and finish it. Now I'm looking at the cart of all of the like little projects that I still need to finish. So I'm going to roll it a little closer here, and we're just going to see what, that was a hook, what we pull out. So right away on top, I'm seeing some lovely orange yarn. This is the Lazy Days from Lion brand in the color Clay. So it's this orangey color. And clearly I finished a beanie in this color, so I'm going to guess that the other thing in here was the start of a matching scarf that I apparently decided to crochet the long way. That should be pretty easy to finish. It looks like I have 3 full skeins and 1 partial skein of this left. I did discover that this is where my favorite crochet hook went. This is a 6.5mm Susan Bates hook, so it has the nice, like, really deep crochet hook head. So that would be pretty fast to finish, actually. And I think I wanted this hat for fall. I've also been liking kind of the orangey tones lately. Yeah, I think I picked this because the yarn is warm but not super fuzzy, so it doesn't feel very hot when you have it on. And then I had the nice pom-pom up at the top. So that project, actually that might be a good like project to work on at craft fairs, because the stitch pattern is pretty simple. I can see that I was just doing half double crochet in the third loop to make this like braid looking texture on both the scarf and on the hat. So that one won't actually be too bad to finish. Then I've got another little bin here. I remember what happened with this one. So this one I think I was also considering frogging, but I wanted to create a big blanket scarf, and I started doing it in the like, I think it's called the raindrop stitch in knitting. It's a knit purl alternating pattern. And I think I just decided that I didn't like how this yarn looked knit, or it wasn't getting as big as I wanted it to. Something like that. So I'm pretty sure that I had already decided I wanted to frog this and do something else with it. So that will probably be the same fate for that project. Wow, that's kind of sad that I now have 2 projects that I already know I want to frog. But let's keep going. We're almost to the end of the whips, I think. This one is not really a whip. It is actually also something that I need to frog, but I knew I needed to frog it. And this is my scrap sweater that I made that was far too big, and not big in a cute way. It's the yoke is too big, so the sleeves start like at my waist. So this I just need to frog the whole thing, pick a different sweater pattern to do. I did like this color palette. This is a very like wintry color palette, but it still incorporates that like sage and olive green that I've been liking, as well as red. So that one I knew was down there, and I knew I needed to frog it. What else is down here? Oh, I had started a bow tie, just barely. And I knew this one was in there somewhere because the notes for it are in my phone. I use Google Keep to like write down patterns as I'm designing them so that I can access it from my phone and also my computer and be able to edit really easily. But I had started just this little bit here. If you've been around for a while, you know that I have a pattern in my Etsy shop called the Friday Bow Tie. And that one is knit in a tube and stockinette, so I was trying to create a garter stitch version that would only be 1 layer thick. So that's what I was doing there. And then it looks like there's only 1 whip left in here. And this one is actually another pattern that I've been working on for a while. I realized that this looks like just a rectangle, but this is actually a purse pattern that I want to release sometime in the near-ish future. But usually when I construct it, and I have a little bit to go here, but you fold it in thirds and sew it so then it creates 2 pocket compartments, and then there's a little flap that goes over it. So very cute little purse design. But I believe that is the last project that I have down in there. So we made it through all of my whips. I am going to reorganize this cart a little bit as I put things away so that I don't lose more projects all the way down there. But that's it. So made it through all of the whips. It is bad. I will say that. This is not the amount of whips that I would like to have going at once, but it also doesn't seem unmanageable to get these projects finished at some point in the near future. I think I'm just going to have to hold myself accountable to like try to alternate between starting new things and finishing an old thing, at least for a while, until I can get this minimized quite a bit. But that's going to be it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed watching me go through all of my abandoned projects. Yeah, that's going to be it. If you liked what you saw today and you want to see more crafty videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified of all of my crafty videos. I post podcasts on Wednesday, like what you just watched. And I post other videos on Fridays, so you get me twice a week. If you want to follow me on other social media, that information will also be in the description box below. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.